Let's go!
Hey everybody, Coach Scott here, and today I want to talk to you about a very important subject. I've coached hundreds of people before, and I want to talk to you about restoration of relationships. I know that I've counseled a lot of people and coached a lot of people, especially people who feel hurt and feel like their relationships are at the breaking point and don't know if they can ever recover from them, and they feel a sense of loss and confusion, and they wonder if they're ever going to get true restoration and healing. And I want to share something with you. When you're in a relationship that's in a crisis, it can be very challenging at times, and especially if you've had failures in your past, particularly as it relates to your relationships. The first thing to realize is that God has designed us all to be in relationships. But many times, because of our backgrounds, we haven't seen what a healthy relationship really looks like. And so today I want to talk to you about how to restore some of those relationships maybe that have been broken in your past and maybe that you're going through right now. Because anytime you find yourself in a situation where your relationships have not been healthy, it can be very confusing. And when you're always looking inside the picture and you're inside the frame, it's very difficult to see the whole picture, or what it should look like or what it could look like. And too often, what happens is people implement the wrong strategies to try to fix their relationships. And so without a sound formula or a sound strategy for true restoration, what will happen many times is your relationship will continue to suffer, and most likely it's going to die a little bit each day until it dissolves completely. And once this happens, it can be gone forever. And so there's a lot of mistakes that people make when they're trying to take an assessment or stop and take a look at the relationships in their lives. The first thing is they always try to convince people to change, and that's never going to work. When you're always trying to convince people to change their ways, you are fighting a losing battle. The next thing is they're always blaming other people for what's wrong and what's going on in the relationship. So expecting others to really just bow down to all your needs and to look at it from your vantage point is never going to be a good solution for restoring a relationship. Because I'm a big believer in strategies, as particularly processes. So I want to talk to you about 3 strategies today, or commitments, or new behaviors, I should say, that I've learned from one of the leading relationship experts. Her name is Dr. Randy Gunther. The first strategy is you've got to give up the blame game. You have got to stop blaming other people for your life. Invalidation, guilt, and shame, those were all weapons used by our parents and our caretakers and people in our past to control us in our childhood. Unfortunately, we learned that this was a way to get what we want, or our relationships as an adult now have been tainted by that type of strategy. And more often than not, this doesn't work. So give up the blame game. Check to make sure you aren't criticizing or you're judging people wrongly when you express your feelings. For example, don't always say, you're interrupting me when I'm talking. You always talk when I'm talking. Or it drives me crazy every time you do blank. Instead, what you can say is, I want you to hear me. I want you to understand me. Can you wait at least till I'm finished and then weighing on how you feel? The second thing is examine how you contributed to the situation that's upsetting you. Is there anything that you could have done differently? Is there any actions that you could have avoided? What can you do to make things better now? So give up the blame game and start taking responsibility for your own actions and your own words. And I guarantee you, it's perhaps the single most powerful healing strategy that you can use, but particularly if you're just kind of in this cycle of finger pointing and bickering and always blaming other people. The second strategy is ask for what you want, but then openly listen to what other people need as well. So since people are not mind readers, nobody can read your mind. You need to ask for what you want. And maybe you feel like it doesn't count, or if you have to ask somebody for it, or, they should have already known what I needed, or they should have done this, 'cause I do this for them. And maybe you have so much resentment built up that it's difficult for you to be vulnerable enough to admit that you need something from other people. Just know this. It's going to take practice and it's going to take time, and it may feel difficult at first, but it can be a tremendous weapon for healing, and it will also set you free from this vicious cycle of guessing what other people are thinking, and they won't have to guess what you're thinking. So there are some guidelines for making this strategy to have a maximum impact. The first thing is, don't use the past as a shield or as a weapon against somebody. Give up words words like always and never. And also, it's very important to be specific. Don't just say, I want you to listen to me, but say, hey, you know what? I'd like for you to put down your phone, or I'd like for you to turn the TV off when I have something important to share with you. I would like for your full attention. This will obviously turn the conversation into a very different direction, and it will help you stay focused on what's being said and not how it's said. The third strategy is you've got to forget the past. Forgetting the former things, do not dwell on the past. That came straight out of the Bible. That's Isaiah 43:18. And I've coached so many people that spend all of their time and their energy living in the past, thinking about mistakes or dwelling on setbacks and disappointments. And I've heard it said before that where your focus goes, your energy flows. And see, what most people don't realize is that the things they're focusing on is choking the life out of their future if they're looking backwards and always focusing on their history. But in order to fully experience restoration and healing in your relationships, you have to learn to let go of those past hurts. You've got to get rid of those setbacks and disappointments in your mind. You have to forget the former things to make room for new opportunities. That's the only way you can forget the past, is you have to create new memories for your future. And God has a new beginning and a new future for all of us. So get ready for a new future by getting rid of an old past. Don't focus on where you've been. Focus on where you're going. And if you'll do that, I believe and declare you will restore some of those broken relationships, and God will put new opportunities and new relationships in your past, and you will be all that you were created to be. So God bless you guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.